But we have an angry quarterback in Brett Favre who threw 5 interceptions last week. He's out to get the Packers back on track.
Well, for Charlie Batch, it's his first start since he was a Detroit Lion all the way back December the 2nd, 2001. Some 60 NFL regular season weeks since his last start. And today's game brought to you in high definition. And the Steelers, with a 10-game road to win streak, have won the toss and will receive with Quincy Morgan awaiting the kick of Ryan Longwell. Well, the Packers at 1-6. Their one win was a blowout win of New Orleans here, 52-3. They've had some agonizing losses as the ball is blown off the tee. We do have some rather significant wind conditions to deal with here, Phil.
Yes, and it is behind the Packers' back. Quite strong, Jim. So kickers, punt returners, kickoff returners, and quarterbacks will have to deal with it.
There was a weather system moving through here late yesterday, and all through the night it rained. It even had a little rain snow mix when we awoke. But it's cleared out, and we're all set to go, and we're underway with Morgan of the Steelers from the 8. Trying that jammed left side and hammered at the 27 by William Henderson. Here comes Charlie Batch. Back in his days as a quarterback for the Lions, he started 2 games up here, did not win at Lambeau, always sloppy weather conditions when he was here. But after 3.5 years in Pittsburgh, his first start for his hometown team. Hardings was his center, in fact, back in his Detroit days. And Hines Ward today with 4 catches will become the all-time receiver in Pittsburgh history. If he can get 4, he'll surpass Stallworth. Right out with some trickery with Randall L. getting to the outside with all kinds of room. And Randall L at the 50 cuts back. Now he'll take it down the sideline and out at the 30.
What a call by the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got a defense that knows the starting quarterback is out. They're going to be aggressive, trying to stop the run. Look at Mark Roman, a safety all the way up there. He over pursues, and there's nobody but Al Harris to stop it. He gets blocked, and Randall L., running quarterback in college, runs pretty well in the pros, too.
Yes, he runs for 43 yards before Mark Roman bumps him out. Longest run allowed by Green Bay this year on the end around to get it underway. Batch with the safe pass over to Miller. Tripped up after a gain of 1 against Roman on the tackle for Green Bay. The Packer defense that has allowed at least 2 touchdown passes in 6 of 7 games. Only exception was the win against the Saints. And there's that front line with Baja Biamila and a linebacking core that's topped by Barnett, the leading tackler now for the 3rd straight year. And Al Harris, who has a couple of sacks, a couple of picks, one of which he ran back for a score this season. 2nd down and 9, and they set it over to Willie Parker with blockers in front, and Parker takes it inside the 19, going behind Jeff Hardings.
Another good call by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Charlie Batch, Jim, you talked about it, making that start. It's been so long. Quick pass to the outside to the wide receiver. Now a screen play, and Willie Parker. They want to get him on the edge, and you can see why, because of the speed that he has.
What a way to settle down a quarterback who has to be rusty, if not physically, mentally, having been out of action for so long. He talked last night to us about just trying to get used to things out there. Here's the handoff, and another nice gain for the Steelers with Willie Parker. And Barnett and others in on the hit after 6.
You look at this Pittsburgh offense. If you run up the middle, they got 2 big guys inside on defense, but go out because Kabir, Baja Biamila, not the biggest defensive end, and look what happens. He gets blocked, gets off of it, but they run right through the arm tackle.
In the red zone, look at the numbers on the year. They've scored all 25 times in the red zone this season. 2nd down and 4. Parker, and he is hit immediately by Grady Jackson. I mentioned they've scored every time in the red zone this year. You go back to last year, regular season play, 39 straight times in the red zone they've scored. It's remarkable. You know, Charlie Batch, a former Phil Simms Iron Award winner on a Thanksgiving Day performance on CBS, and you've seen a lot of Batch, but it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while, and I think the Steelers today take the pressure off of him. make the throw. What they like about him, if it's not open downfield, he's quick to find the underneath receiver, and that's what he wanted to do today. That, manage the game, watch the clock.
3rd down and 5 from the gun. Got away from Batch, picks it up, improvising now, and he tried to find Haynes across the middle. So it was a mess from the snap.
Now that's a good point, Jim. It was a mess getting into shotgun formation. Charlie Batch, I'm sure he's thinking about the pass defense, takes his eyes off the snap just enough. What they do like to, can't run as well as Ben Roethlisberger, but still at his age, not that old, but gets outside. He can move a little to give himself some room to throw the pass.
Now there's Jeff Reed. He's made his last 27 from inside the 40, and this will fall into that category with a 32-yard attempt. Fresh off winning the game for the Steelers Monday night against Baltimore. And Reed drills it for an opening 3, set up by the end-around run on the very first snap. The 43-yard run by Antoine Randall El. So the Steelers pick up 3. There's the man who set it up, and we're going to get a chance to see Brett Favre come out here and try to atone for what was his worst regular season performance of his storied career in terms of interceptions. 5 times picked off last week at Cincinnati.
Well, it was a tough week for Brett Favre against the Bengals. He had a couple balls batted up in the air. There's nothing you can do about that. Bad throw for the interception that time. Looks like a mix-up. And when it's going bad, the defense makes really some terrific catches. But as I watched that game, and I watched the film of the game, Jim, after he threw 5 interceptions, they're down 21-14. They have a chance to drive down, tie the game up, and Brett Favre was still winging it, throwing it right in there, and getting some completions against some really tough coverage. So this guy, he's fearless. When it goes bad, he can really go bad, but he'll also keep throwing in there trying to make plays.
The oddity, he had not thrown a pick before the first one he threw last week in 108 attempts, and then he had 5 in an 11-pass sequence right in the middle of the game, second and third quarters. But he still, as you said, came back. They had a chance at the end at Cincinnati, falling by 7. It's Rashard Lee, who will be their starting running back, taking it out to the 23 as Tony Fisher is inactive. Here comes Mr. Favre. Just last week, he moved in the 2nd all-time in the history of the league in pass attempts and passing yardage, moving ahead of John Elway. Only Dan Marino is in front of him. There's Clifton on the line, a line that has been pretty much injury-free when you compare it to the rest of this team, and Rashard Lee becomes the 4th different starting running back of the year. Their skill positions, wide receiver and running back, has been a disaster for injuries. Lee stacked up on his first attempt. No gain. The Steeler defense has not allowed a 100-yard rusher in the last 19 games. That offensive or defensive line, Smith, a Pro Bowler a year ago, Hampton, Von Oelhoffen, the linebacking core with 13 sacks as a group and 7 forced fumbles, headed by Porter and Polamalu, as Bill Cowher told us, the most cerebral player I've ever been around. 2nd down and 10. Favre hits the target. It's Driver with the first down at the 36-yard line. Gain of 13.
Well, when you play against Brett Favre and you're a defensive back, you have a memory. You think, well, okay, I'm going to play it this way to Shea Townsend. I'm going to knock the pass down when it comes in front of me. Then you realize, even though he's getting older and he's been in the league a while, Brett Favre still has one of the strongest arms at the quarterback position in the NFL.
They line up in the I. First down, it's back to Lee. He fumbles the football. Picked up by Polamalu at the 43-yard line. Just the 2nd carry for Rashard Lee, getting his first career start and hoping to, as he said, get a chance here to show everyone what I can do. Coughs it up on his 2nd touch.
Well, he comes through the line. You got to get used to contact, Jim. We talked to him yesterday, and he couldn't wait to get hit and get into the flow of the game. But that time, good space to run into. Couldn't tell who reached out, knocked it out of his arm. When you're inside, you got to really protect the football.
Back with Willie Parker running untouched until he got to the 37. Adds another yard before Carroll drags him down. Let's take a look at your spotlight, Phil.
Well, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, talk to the coaches and Charlie Batch. Be ready for the unexpected. In other words, Green Bay doesn't blitz a lot, but they're expecting it because of the quarterback. Green Bay defense, talk to them too. Jim Bates, the defensive coordinator, says we're going to blitz. Charlie Batch hasn't thrown many passes in the last 4 years, and we're going to get after him. And if they don't handle it well, we'll keep getting after him.
Second down and 2. Batch. Pressure from behind, and it's Baja Biamila who takes him down for the sack.
Well, Jim, you talked about Charlie Batch. They fake the run, they fake the reverse. And Marvell Smith just lets Baja Biamila get around him way too quick. Coverage downfield was really well done. Nobody open. Charlie Batch held on to it just a little too long. As the game goes along, he'll get a feel for how fast he has to get rid of the football.
Sets up a 3rd and 8. Stepping up in the pocket, fires it, contact, and a flag. He was trying to find Quincy Morgan. He got tangled up with Marvell Underwood, and it'll be against the Packer defensive back.
Well, the fans here will...
Pass interference defense, number 25. The ball is placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Jim, you're right. Underwood commits the foul. And the fans here, they're going to boo a little because pass interference, penalties by the defensive backs have really been a big factor in the outcome of a couple football games so far this year.
So a first down for Pittsburgh inside the 20 for the second time in the game's opening 6 minutes. And it's Parker getting away from the tackle behind the line of scrimmage. Able to pick up 3, and we welcome in the 3rd member of our team, Bonnie Bernstein. Bonnie?
Hey, Jim, quite frankly, Charlie Batch will tell you he thought he might not get this shot, especially after September 19th, 2004. That day, Charlie was sitting home on IR with a knee injury when Tommy Maddox went down against the Ravens. Of course, Batch would have been the guy to go in, but since he was home, it was rookie Ben Roethlisberger, and you know the rest of the story. So talk about redemption and a second chance. Look no further than Charlie Batch.
Well, he's thrown only 8 passes the last 3.5 seasons, Bonnie, and here he is directing the offense on second down from the 14. Scrambling away from the heat, gets away from what would have been a sack. Grady Jackson back to the line of scrimmage. We've got an update. Back to Greg.
Jim and Phil, how's this for a call? Chiefs down 3, 5 seconds to play at the 1-yard line, and they'll go for it. Larry Johnson from a yard out into the end zone with the extra point. The Chiefs beat the Oakland Raiders 27-23.
Wow, what a win for the Chiefs, who improve now to 5-3. San Diego escaped New York just barely with a win. I know many of you saw that game. Devastating setback for the Raiders today. 3rd down for the Steelers. And out of the gun, they'll hand it off to Haynes. And he's about a yard shy of the first. 4th and 1 on the way.
Bill Cowher's going to wait to see how long that 1 yard is. And he says, too far, let's kick the field goal. Well, 2 moral victories for this Green Bay defense. Put in a bad position twice, and they're going to come out of it with just giving up 2 field goal attempts.
This will be another chippy for Reed. It'll be a 25-yard try. Make it 24 officially. Warren to snap it back. Odaki on the hold, and 41 consecutive trips in the red zone going back to last year for Pittsburgh. 41 straight times they've scored.
You can run the football. You can protect the quarterback. He can move around. He has a good arm. That's why you're good inside the 20 going in to get some points.
2 field goals here in the game's opening minutes. I'd like to welcome those of you just joining us to Lambeau Field, where the Steelers have already connected on 2 Jeff Reed field goals to lead the Packers 6-0. The game began with Antoine Randall on an end around going 43 yards. It set up a Reed field goal from inside 35, and then on the Packers' first possession, after picking up a first down, Richard Lee fumbled, was recovered by Polamalu, and again the Steelers drove deep before things stalled, and Reed this time from 24 yards to make it 6-0.
Well, you're up here in Green Bay. The environment, look, seeing the fans, everybody around, you would never know this team is 1-6. Excitement, they're always behind this Green Bay Packers team.
You see Andre Thurman now back deep. They have removed Richard Lee as the returner. And Thurman dancing around at the 23. That's it before Krewalt brought him to a halt. Krewalt with the hit at the 23. And we'll see Brett Favre and the Packers for the second time.
Well, I would think, Jim, Richard Lee, since he's going to get a lot of carries today, they do not want to wear him out returning kicks. Or at least they hope he gets a lot of carries.
Well, they've already taken Lee after that fumble. They're not going to put him in for this series. They've got Gatto in the backfield. I'd like to welcome many of you who have just joined us. Packers' second series of the game. And the handoff here to Sam Gatto for about 7. He comes in for Richard Lee, who had started the game but fumbled on his second carry. We've had a couple of Jeff Reed field goals and early action by the Steelers.
Well, you said Samkon Gatto. I think they were anxious to get him in here and see what he could do. Picked up a couple weeks ago, been on the practice squad. They activated him last week. I don't think he really knows all the plays, but he knows all the run plays. So when he's in there, look for him to get the ball quite a bit.
Out of Liberty, the rookie, who was in camp with Kansas City, and he's about a yard shy of the first. All right, Phil, the spotlight on this side of the ball.
Well, for the Green Bay Packers, I think to win today, it's got to be a lot of Brett Favre. Not that he has to throw it every down, but he's got to throw it well, and his decision-making has to be very sharp. The Pittsburgh defense, Bill Cowher says you look at what Green Bay, their offense, the offensive line speed up. They're missing running backs. It's Donald Driver and Brett Favre. We cannot let them have big pass plays that could cost us to lose the game.
Third different tailback in the game now for the Packers. It's Walt Williams behind Favre. Play action fake to Williams. Look at Favre shake away from Aaron Smith. And all the way to the other side, complete to William Henderson. Donald Driver throws a block, and the Packers are in Pittsburgh territory with the gain of 25.
Well, I think Bill Cowher said it right. I do not want to face Brett Favre after he's thrown 5 interceptions. Avoids the rush, and then he gets outside. And how does he find the receiver all the way across the field and then just throws a bullet to William Henderson? Brett Favre, at his age, even though he's been in the league a long time, the arm, and he still moves around a lot for any NFL quarterback.
I don't care how old he is. That arm looks like he's a 22-year-old. Still can fire it and fling it, and he hands it off this time to Gatto up the middle for 3. All of these injuries for the Packers at the skill positions, receivers and running backs, devastating. Week 1, it was Javon Walker. Went out right there with a knee, out for the year. Week 5, Najee Davenport was in. Amon Green was out of action at the time. That ended Davenport's season with an ankle. Green came back. He blew out a knee. Done for the year. That cart has been so busy they've had to change the tires this year. They keep shuttling guys off the field. And Gatto with some hard running for the first down to the 30. Running behind Vontae Leach.
Well, we said the offensive line has not been a real strength for the Packers. The defensive line for the Steelers has played terrific, and look at the space that Gatto has going up inside there, and really a good start for the Green Bay Packers rushing the football.
Well, this Samkon Gatto coming in on this series has been quite impressive.
Shows he's got a little speed, and Jimmy looks big out there too.
Joey Porter looked like he was across the line, flags it down. That's Chapman with Taylor on the coverage. Picked up 5, but they'd rather have the 5 and not count the down. If this is as we suspect on Porter.
Offside, defense, number 55, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Usually when Brett Favre draws a team off sides, watch Donald Driver going down the middle of the defense. As soon as they were off, I said he's going to look down the field to try to get a big play. He had him maybe for a touchdown, but sometimes as a quarterback, you're not real sure. Was it on our side or theirs? Well, if you're not sure, don't take a chance with the throw.
So it's a 1st and 5. Steelers the second fewest penalties in the league, and Gatto able to drag Larry Foote with him to gain 1.
I'll tell you what, Gatto, he knows he's in there right now for one reason, because Rashard Lee fumbled the football. So he is putting 2 big arms around it. Look at this guy. He looks like an NFL running back. Believe it or not, Liberty College is where he went. He didn't even start. He was the 3rd string running back.
It's hard to believe.
Is that unbelievable?
And it's really, if you will, the 5th string running back at Green Bay. They lost the first 3 to injury. Fisher out today with a rib injury, and then Lee the 4th taken out. Here's Gatto again, and he's near the 1st but a little bit shy. This Sam Khan Gatto found his way to Kansas City and got injured during training camp, but he was fighting to make the 3rd running back position behind Priest Holmes and Larry Johnson. They ended up deciding to only go with those 2, and he got waived and picked up by, well, off the practice squad. He was picked up by the Packers.
Well, a lot of reasons why sometimes it doesn't work in college. Willie Parker on the other side at the University of North Carolina never started, but when he worked out for NFL scouts, Gatto ran a 4.4. That's fast. That's why he's here.
Can he get the tough yard? No, he can't. Ferrier and Smith tripped him up. It's one thing not to be able to play for North Carolina. It's another not to be able to play and break into that Liberty lineup.
Well, the Steelers so tough against the run. They play the run all the way. They get in the backfield. Nowhere for Gatto to go with the football. And if they didn't lose yards, which they did, it looks like it's 4th and 2. If it had been 4th and 1 or less, I believe they might have gone for it to try to get some momentum and keep the crowd in this game.
It's a 40-yard try for Ryan Longwell, so dependable. And Longwell knocks it home. Well, if they had any confidence in that backfield, too, you'd think they might have given it a go. But the 3 from Longwell, 6'3". Congratulations to Ryan Longwell with that successful field goal. He's the first player in the history of this incredible franchise to cross the 1,000-point threshold.
That's quite an accomplishment. Says a lot for a kicker. It's not the ideal place to try to make a lot of field goals up here. Cold and windy.
And Morgan able to hold on to it. Took a while, and then what? Ball squirts out at the end. Was he down? They haven't ruled him down. They say Pittsburgh recovers. It's like James Harrison may have fallen on it. Indeed. So the Steelers with the 6-3 lead will come back out at the 34 when we return.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon Wireless. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you. And by Toyota. Choose any direction as long as it's forward. Toyota, moving forward.
You can log on to NFL.com each week as Phil and Boomer and Shannon go inside the game. See what they have to say every week. Only on NFL.com or NFL on AOL. Deuce Staley has come in, and here's his first handle of the season, and it goes for about 3. Deuce Staley, who injured a knee back on August the 8th, early in training camp. MCL, had surgery, and of course, really, that's virtually no training camp at all. And as Bill Cowher told us last night, Phil, he needs to get hit. He needs some action, needs to go out there and recall what it's like. As Jerome Bettis, you saw him on the sideline, inactive today.
Well, if you're an NFL running back, it won't take long. Put that ball in your hand, you'll get hit.
Bet is out with a gimpy knee. 2nd down and 7. Final seconds of the opening quarter, and Batch across the middle. It's Miller has the first down. Rookie getting better every single week. Comes in with 4 straight games with a touchdown catch. That one picks up the first, and the first quarter's over. 6-3. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Second quarter about to start as Grady Jackson and the Packers wait for the Steelers to break huddle at their own 47. And in this quarter, the Steelers going downwind. There are some significant breezes here today. Fake to Staley and Batch picked. Robert Thomas out at the 40-yard line.
Bill Cowher looking on, going, what went on? First time the Green Bay Packers, they came on the blitz. Indecision by Charlie Batch. Doesn't see it cleanly and throws it right to Robert Thomas. Watch the linebackers come on the blitz. They cross the receivers inside. Charlie Batch trying to anticipate. Looks like Hines Ward saw it inside. Charlie Batch saw it out. And it leads to an easy interception by Robert Thomas.
Sets up Favre, and the Packers at the 36 is where they marked him out of bounds. Looking for the quick strike. Favre, deep, Driver. Flag down. Driver shaken up. He has not moved.
Donald Driver on the outside as he goes up to catch the football. Troy Polamalu is going to go right underneath him. Oh, and he just lands right on his head. He is sitting up. And Troy Polamalu absolutely got there early.
Well, he is up somehow. And for anyone who follows the Packers and Donald Driver, they have seen that before. You remember just a couple of years ago, he had a frightening injury.
Robert Thomas making the interception. That time the Packers do want to go deep today because the Pittsburgh Steelers safeties, especially Troy Polamalu, can get caught up inside, and Brett Favre went on a quick snap and caught him before they got deep, ready for the deep pass.
So it's 1st and goal. Favre to the back of the end zone. He was trying to hit Bubba Franks. Too steep. Chris Hope on the coverage. Donald Driver back in 2003 got injured against Minnesota early in the season. Sprained neck. Missed a week and somehow able to come back. It was one of the more frightening injuries you ever saw. But in this case, thankfully, Driver up and ready to report back for action.
Remember, they lost Javon Walker, Jim, week 1. Robert Ferguson's out. Another top receiver. Can't afford to lose anymore.
It's 2nd down and goal. Gatto, and off the right side, maybe got a yard. So, that whole linebacking group for the Steelers, this Steelers defense, again, one of the best in the league. That 3-4 defense with a strong line and a very active linebacking core. Polamalu waiting for you in the secondary.
Hard to run it up the middle. Casey Hampton, all-pro. Talk about those linebackers. Look at them. They come on blitzes a lot. That's what it's about. The defense is built around the linebackers, making the plays in the run game and rushing the passer.
Timeout called by the Packers, facing 3rd and goal.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Garmin. We'll take you there. And by Rocky Mountain Refreshing Coors Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL and Super Bowl 40.
Third and goal for the Packers of Mike Sherman. They brought in Walt Williams in the backfield. Send out 3 receivers, including Donald Driver. And Chad Clifton mixing it up a little bit with Kimo von Oelhoffen.
Ball start. Offense, number 70. 5-yard penalty. It's third down.
It's called on the left guard, Adrian Clem. So that certainly changes the whole way you approach this one.
It absolutely does. I think it was going to be a pass anyway that last time by the Packers offense. When they bring in Walt Williams, number 29, he's the one that knows the offense the best of the running backs, and he can pick up the blitzes. And you got to always remember they got to protect Brett Favre.
The Steelers defense giving up only 5 touchdown passes on the season, never more than 1 in any single game. What will Favre do here again? Movement on the right side this time.
I'll tell you what he's going to do. He's going to draw his offense.
Offense, number 88. 5-yard penalty, third down.
Bubba Franks this time.
Bubba Franks, tight end, flinches. Brett Favre, 2 straight plays. Goes with the hard count, trying to get the defense to commit to what they're doing, but most likely just trying to get them off sides. And both times, the offense, maybe you get nervous because you're playing a defense that's good. They blitz. They do a lot of unexpected things. It can make you uneasy.
Driver to the right. Franks in the slot right. Chapman left. Favre, no chance. Fumbles. Polamalu scoops it up. Polamalu with 1 man chasing him. Donald Lee, and now he's off and untouched. Bryant McFadden knocked it loose. And it looks like 77 yards is the distance for Troy Polamalu. And after the Charlie Batch interception, well, it leads to nothing on the Green Bay side but frustration.
Look at the blitz from this side, and I think why they blitzed, the Packers had nobody in the backfield. A lot of times when you have nobody in the backfield, the defense automatically changes what it's doing, and they come after the quarterback. Brett Favre never looks to his left. He does not see the blitz. He gets hit unexpectedly, and that causes the fumble. Good job by the Steeler defense.
Polamalu, 77 yards indeed. 2nd career touchdown. Only the 2nd time Favre had been sacked in his last 152 pass plays, but it's a big one. What, like a 10-point turnaround, 10-point lead. Boy, to think that the Packers, Phil, had it 1st and goal to go and end up turning it over. Polamalu's 2nd recovery in this game and a run back for a score this time.
1 and 6. A lot of things go wrong. The Packers, their own worst enemy. 2 false starts. Brett Favre doesn't see the blitz. Good coverage. Fumble and a touchdown.
Rashard Lee is back again after sitting out the last return. And he only gets to the 23. That's it. Packers with a costly mistake and a return by Polamalu. And we are back in Titletown, USA. Green Bay, Wisconsin. Packers trailing 13-3, early 2nd. And Gatto with the run and a good burst for 6. Here's the fumble.
Here comes the fumble. Polamalu comes on the blitz. Watch McFadden from all the way outside. Nobody in the backfield to help Brett Favre out. He's looking to the right all the time. So he gets hit unexpectedly. Watch Brett Favre looking for a receiver. Nobody open. That's the key. Spins away, he thinks, from the only guy that gives him trouble. and there's McFadden to hit him and cause the fumble.
He turns right around to McFadden. That pass over the head of Bubba Franks. Several players in that area. 3rd and 4 coming up. Time it was Chris Hope in the area.
I tell you, Jim, when Polamalu ran down the field, got the touchdown, I was going, well, that's strange. I heard a lot of cheering. Then I realized, as we've been in town for a few days, everywhere you go, you see Steeler fans. They're everywhere. And on my flight early Friday morning, it was packed with Steeler fans. They travel well, and to come here to Lambeau Field and to Green Bay, quite an experience, so come and enjoy it.
Walt Williams in the backfield. Every time you see Pittsburgh on the road, they have an amazing support system. Favre over the head of Driver. You saw the fan up there with the Roethlisberger jersey. We should point out that Ben is back home, did not travel today, out after having his knee scoped on Thursday.
Yeah, Bill Cowher, I said, will he be at the game? He says, nope, he will be back home getting treatment today, getting ready. They hope he's ready for next week's game. If he's not, he'll definitely be ready for 2 weeks down the road.
First punt of the afternoon, B.J. Sander of the Packers. Into the breeze, and it's a good one, all things considered. And Randall L. turned around, twisted down at the 20 by Jeremy Thornburg. 53-yard punt. Well, tomorrow, Dave's all new with Jennifer Aniston. And later in the week, don't miss Hillary Duff, Kelly Ripa, and Steve Martin. Dave's all new all this week on America's Most Watched Network. Deuce Staley will begin this series in the backfield. Deuce making a cut and into the arms of Robert Thomas. What have you seen out of Charlie Batch?
Well, let's see. Making that first start in a long time. It's been a mixed bag so far for Charlie Batch. Misses the shotgun snap. Can't find anybody open. He gets sacked. Tries to run with it. You forget how fast they are in this league. And then a little indecision by him and the receiver causes the interception.
2nd down and 7. It's Wilson in motion. And he receives the football, makes a nice cut for the first down out at the 33. Kendall Simmons and Dan Kreider help open up some room.
You know, Jim, a lot of times when you have a quarterback making his first start, or any quarterback, it's always good to give what I call coach plays. You know, coach him up and make it easy for the quarterback. You can't expect the quarterback to drop back, make reads, make a good decision and all that all the time. So they throw a little screen outside. It's easy for Charlie Batch. It works. Gets a first down. That's what I call a coach play.
First down, it's Taylor. And that's good for a yard. And Bill Cowher talking about the scope for Big Ben. Just a slight tear, he said, and we're going to err on the side of caution. Worst case is he'll be out 2 weeks. Talking about his quarterback, Roethlisberger, who is the top-rated quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, you know, we were talking. He was talking about Ben Roethlisberger last night. He'd say a few things, and you know, he catches himself and he goes, yeah, that's right. He's only in his 2nd year, isn't he? Yes, Coach. He's doing pretty well, let me tell you.
Led him to another come-from-behind victory last Monday night. 2nd down and 9 in traffic. And not even back to the line of scrimmage with Staley. This is what they're missing. Quarterback rating of over 112. How about that? And a career record, well, 5-1 on this season. 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Still only lost to one team in his career.
Yeah, the New England Patriots, and he fits this offense, I think, perfect. They run it, and then on 3rd downs, he's big, he's mobile, and he can throw those little short passes which are very tough because of all the people around his size. Really helps him out in those situations.
3rd down and 9, they're bringing it on, and Batch unloads. We brought 3 blitzers at least, including Mark Roman from the secondary.
Well, we talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They said we're ready for the unexpected. So that shouldn't be unexpected anymore. You know they're going to blitz when they get the chance, and they get some blitzers to come free against Charlie Batch.
Chris Gardocki in for the first time to punt to Chapman. Antonio Chapman, who moved into the lineup last week with Ferguson out and had a good game at Cincinnati. 8 catches, just shy of 100 yards. And they almost got to Gardocki. And there's a flag down at each end of the field. They're going to get a little roughing call on the Packers on one side. And, well, let's see.
I think it'll be running into the kicker.
Okay, it was Cole who ran into him. Also a flag in the area of the return.
Yeah, that'll be blocking in the back, of course, which I could see from way up here.
Well, let's see, it was 4th and 9. Ed Hockley presiding over this one.
There were 2 fouls by Green Bay on the play. Running into the kicker, which was a 5-yard penalty only, number 90. That penalty is declined. There's also an illegal block in the back, number 29. That penalty is enforced. 10 yards. Green Bay keeps the ball. First down.
So the Packers will start inside the 20, inside their own 20, down 10.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by IBM. Become an on-demand business. IBM can help. And by the all-new 2006 Jeep Commander. It's your world. Take command.
We are back and returning to the tailback position, Gatto, and he gets the football, shakes off foot, and there is a flag down at the line of scrimmage. Samkon Gatto, such a personable young man. We got to really spend some time with him yesterday at the Packers complex.
Offense number 65, half the distance to the goal. Repeat first down.
Well, you know, we did, Jim. We actually had lunch with him, and you know, I figured out why he's weighs as much as he does, because the man can eat.
Yes,
he was tearing it up at lunch.
Well, they were serving brats.
Oh man, it is
it's
so
true.
good up here. But yeah, he is personable, and also he kept saying yes sir, no sir, very polite, and just a terrific young man. And what a chance for a guy to be a third-string running back in college. And I'm sure he didn't even have any aspirations of playing pro football, but his coach at college says, I think you got a chance. So he went to an NFL workout, and he did terrific, and here he is today.
Born in Nigeria, said he moved to the States at the age of 8. His family moved to South Carolina. Open is Lee. And then picks up good yardage, gives Favre a little room to work with. And next weekend on CBS Sports, the Franklin Templeton shootout. Greg Norman's labor of love. Brett Couples, John Daly, Mark Calcavecchia, many more will team up and tee off at the Franklin Templeton shootout. And it comes your way next weekend on CBS. And a reminder, we've got the Sprint halftime report coming up with Greg, Shannon, and Boomer. Dan's been down in Miami all day. We want to congratulate our colleague. He was honored at halftime for his recent Hall of Fame induction. There's Gatto with the cut to pick up the first. And I'll tell you, Polamalu saved the Steelers a lot of yardage with that tackle.
Well, what's so impressive when you watch Gatto as he runs, this is a run that's going to go up inside. He sees nothing and then instinctively just keeps bending to the right, and nice feet, and you can see he has the speed to get some extra yards. Polamalu, he is a heat-seeking missile. He is a terrific tackler, and he comes up, makes the play, and stops a really big run by Gatto.
It's less than a yard to go. And the untested rookie get the tough yard, and he falls forward for the first. James Farrior had him behind the line, but the spin move, second effort, got the necessary yardage.
Second effort, just the fact that he's built lower to the ground, tough, and he breaks the tackles and gets a big first down, I think, for the Green Bay Packers.
Going to measure just to be sure.
It looked like to me that he got it.
Yeah, I think he's got it by a good half yard. It wasn't by that much. By a football, first down.
Like I'm buying lumber from you.
Sell you some real estate. You can visit CBS Sportsline tonight for a complete wrap-up of all the day's action, in-depth analysis from our man Pat Kerwin. Jason Horowitz will take you through all the highlights, the exclusive post-game show only. CBSSportsline.com. That's Tony Fisher, who had started a week ago, but out with a rib injury today. Bubba Franks wrapped up aggressively by Joey Porter after no gain. Let's go back down to Bonnie.
Well, Jim, Brett Favre and Bill Cowher have something in common. They both started with their respective teams in 1992, and ironically enough, they remember the same exact play from the first game they saw each other, which was back in September of 1992. Rod Woodson bit on a double fake by Sterling Sharp. Brett threw that touchdown pass that went 76 yards, and at the time, you know what Cowher thought? He said, quarterback's all right. He runs around. He's not very disciplined, but he says the same thing 13 years later, and look what Favre's done.
It was Favre's, thank you, Bonnie. It was Favre's first win as a starter. Gatto for 2 yards, and it was Cowher's first loss as a head coach. And that play you mentioned, Bonnie, to Sharp, to Sterling Sharp, well, here you go. The pump fake. And Favre, he almost had his stats right down to the number, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. 14 and 19 that day.
Ever since that time, look at the streaks.
Yeah, look at the streaks. And Bill Cowher, what's amazing, Brett Favre remembered to play who it was against. We mentioned it to Bill Cowher, and he recited it like it happened yesterday. Coaches and players, they forget nothing.
Third down here for Favre. Trying the right side, and it's caught for the first by Driver. There is a flag. Bounced out by Tyrone Carter. After 19 yards, the Steelers pointing that it's against Green Bay.
Illegal shift, offense. Number 83 and number 80 were moving at the same time. 5-yard penalty.
Wipes out one of the better efforts for Mike Sherman's side. You know, since that game back in September of '92, there have been 87 head coaching changes in the league, 187 quarterback changes, 4 new franchises, and 16 new stadiums. Some things have stayed the same, Favre and Cowher, but a whole lot of the landscape is different.
Well, when you can keep a quarterback this long, or a head coach as long as Bill Cowher's been in Pittsburgh, Jim, it means you're having success. That's how you survive in the NFL. Green Bay's won a lot of games, and the Steelers have won a lot of division titles. They've done it all except win a Super Bowl.
So take off the first with the penalty, 3rd and 12. Diving grab is made by Antonio Chapman. 18 yards, first down.
Good job by Brett Favre staying back in the pocket and waiting for Antonio Chapman to go up the field and breaks it inside. Favre anticipates the throw and throws it nice and soft. Antonio Chapman coming in, taking over for Robert Ferguson. Played really well last week in Cincinnati, and as Mike Sherman said, well, reserves have a tendency to play well the first game, but can they keep it up? That's what we'll find out.
Back over to Chapman for about 5. He has looked good in spot duty all season long, and again, second start coming this week. Thursday, Survivor on CBS. Suspicions out there about Gary Hogeboom's NFL past threatening his game in Survivor. What will be the former quarterback's next play? Don't miss a new Survivor Thursday here on America's Most Watched Network.
I'm going to tell you what, if Gary Hogeboom won 5 Super Bowls, he'd never get the publicity that he's getting for this Survivor. Man.
This identity question's been looming for weeks. As Gatto maybe got a yard.
I'd let the secret out if I could to him.
You know, I'm just wondering how many people in Guatemala, when you get, you know, all the strangers together, how many of them would know the NFL that well to say, oh, you are Gary Hogeboom.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's a pretty smart guy. But, you know, the people that he was with, they were Americans. Of course, I doubt if they followed pro football that closely back then or any time. So, well, good for him.
I can't wait to see the reaction when he says, guess what, guys?
Yeah.
I used to play quarterback in the NFL.
And they're going to go, really?
Are you Phil Simms?
Yeah, right.
3rd down. And
they'd have kicked me off by now.
Less than 5.
I couldn't have put up with that for 1 week.
Could have been that tough. Look at the catch. It was low at the knees. Chapman able to snare it, and he gets the first.
This Green Bay Packer offense, and especially the wide receivers, they're used to seeing a lot of tight coverage. And they're trying to put pressure on Brett Favre, but that time, Antonio Chapman fakes like he's going across the field, stops and comes back, and it's too quick for Deshae Townsend to react and stop him before he gets a first down.
Well, that's the 3rd time on this drive they have converted on 3rd down. And Chapman with 3 catches on this drive. Takes the open man across the middle. It's Henderson. And he picks up 7, and hopefully he'll pick up his helmet. That's Larry Foote he's jawing with.
Packers are playing tough.
This crowd appreciated the fact that William Henderson was in there showing a little life.
Gatto coming in and running the football has made the Steeler defense come up closer to the line of scrimmage. So the chances for throwing it outside are there for the Green Bay Packers.
2nd down and 4. Gatto, and there is a flag in the middle of the line. Packers seem to think it might be against the other side.
Holding defense. Nose guard number 98. 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Casey Hampton, number 98, usually plays right over the center. Now the rules apply to them. Defensive lineman. Oh, yeah, look at the arm. He's trying to hold up a guard from coming down the field to block a linebacker. So if an offensive lineman, they can't reach out, and neither can defensive linemen.
You don't see that call all that often.
Well, I see it more now the last couple of years than you used to, because defensive linemen got very good at just running into 2 offensive linemen, grabbing them, and that ruins most running plays.
1st down, 31. And over the head of Lee. We're inside of 2.5 minutes to go in the first half. Boy, how big would it be if the Packers could take this series all the way down the field and score.
Well, you know, Jim, go back to that play where Casey Hampton was holding. Mike Sherman noticed that when he watched the films. So coaches, they go and they tell on each other. Hey, watch this guy. He holds us in pass coverage. And he told the officials Casey Hampton does it on run plays.
Gatto. And from behind, dragged down by Larry Foote, which will in all likelihood bring us to the 2-minute warning.
Packers physically beat up, a lot of injuries, but physically they're hanging in here and taking it to the Steeler defense.
They've held the football on this drive almost 8 minutes. We'll return to Lambeau after this. Along with Lance Barrow and Mike Arnold, our producer and director Jim Nance, Phil Simms, Bonnie Bernstein here at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. And the Packers, what a drive this has been. Look how much they've consumed on the clock. This will be the 14th drive coming up. And it's a big one, 3rd and 7. Great It's Franks for the first down. Had to turn around to grab that one.
Bubba Franks in the slot to the top of the field. It is a blitz by the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's the same one that came earlier. Polamalu and them come off the side that caused the fumble for a touchdown for the Steelers. This time Green Bay alert for it. Bubba Franks wide open.
It's the longest drive of the season for the Packers. They actually had 1st and 18 back at their own 8. Gatto on the toss. And not going down without an attitude. Casey Hampton struck him first.
Really good job protecting the football when you get hit like that and you get away from a defensive player. When you play Pittsburgh, you got to remember about 4 of the guys are going to be up there to tackle you. That's when fumbles are caused.
So the clock running in Green Bay, not wanting to leave Pittsburgh with any time at the end of the half. Casually gets back to the line on 2nd down and 11. Good fake. Favre hits his target and tripped up. It's Lee. Townsend was the one who took his legs out. They'll have a 3rd down coming up. Timeout called Green Bay.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Chili's new steak festival for a limited time. Come on, live a little. And by Charles Schwab. Investing? Talk to someone who actually listens. Talk to Chuck. Charles Schwab.
Packers break huddle. They are 4 for 4 on 3rd down on this drive. And they face another one. 3rd and a little less than 4 to go. Blitz. Pass. Oh, tipped by Porter and falls incomplete. Trying to find Donald Lee. And Favre had to do all he could to concentrate and focus on just fielding the snap.
Yeah, hard to look at the blitz. Nice catch by Brett Favre. The blitz comes from his right side, so he has to get rid of the football quickly. But another long drive against the Steeler defense that results in a field goal try. Last week, Baltimore, 17 plays, and they kick a 40-yard field goal.
His earlier field goal, the 213th of his career, and what as far as 213th straight start. This time, no good from 31. He had made 52 of his last 53 from inside 40. Can you believe that drive netted nothing?
Well, you've held the ball, you drove it down the field, and then you got a field goal attempt that you just mark it in the books, and Longwell just pushes it right, and Mike Sherman knows how big it is, and he can't believe it. You're 1-6, nothing's going right.
Kneel down time, too.
Yeah, Jim, the Steelers defense, it gives, it doesn't break. That's what they're about.
18 plays in 9.5 minutes. They controlled the football with no points. Remember, the Sprint halftime reports coming up. Greg, Shannon, Boomer will have all the scores and highlights, the wrap up of the early action coming up on the Sprint halftime report. And let's go back down to Bonnie.
Mike, even though you missed a field goal, nice long drive before the half, but how frustrating will it be when you look at the stats and see that 10 of the Steelers' 13 points came off turnovers?
Well, the only stat that matters is the score, and obviously we're losing right now. But the guys are playing hard. I feel confident we'll get things wrapped up in here, and we'll play a heck of a second half.
Coach, thank you.
Well, the one pivotal play was really like a 10-point moment in its own right, because the Packers had it down deep, fumble instead, returned by Polamalu. 2 red zone trips by Green Bay, by the way, with no points, coming up empty. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Fumble, Polamalu scoops it up. Polamalu with one man chasing him. Donald Lee now is off and untouched. only touchdown of the game to this point was the Polamalu run back. 13-3 as we get ready for the second half. Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, Bonnie Bernstein and crew here at Lambeau Field. And this is a position that Green Bay finds itself in, it seems like, every week. And they do rally and make it tight at the end and somehow have not been able to take it all the way back.
Well, you can understand by watching Green Bay in the first half why Bill Cowher was nervous coming up here, because the team does play hard. I thought physically they won the battle, and believe it or not, at 1-6, they didn't say it to us. I know the Green Bay Packers are still thinking about winning the division they're in.
Well, look at the numbers. The Packers more yardage. In fact, in that 97-yard total for Pittsburgh, remember 43 yards came on the first play of the game on the end around by Antoine Randall L. Again, this game available in high definition. Hope you enjoy. The lights are on at Lambeau, and well, the weather is pleasant in the 40s. And Rashard Lee, who started the game at tailback, fumbled on his second carry and has not been in on offense after that. Short kick is fielded. Run out by Corey Williams to the 35. Take a look at the fantasy notebook. In Batch, he got picked off across the middle, but really throwing passes of a short variety. And there's Willie Parker with only, as you see, 10 yards. Gatto with 50. And Ward without a catch because the Pittsburgh receivers did not have a single reception in that half. The starting wide receivers. And the fake to Gatto. They'll get him on the screen. Foot chasing. And a gain of 7. Miscues for the Packers. There were aplenty. Polamalu, second recovery of the game, and then the long well missed from just outside 30. It would have made it a one-possession game. But here come the Packers again to start the second half, already across the 40. Gatto, second and short, and has the first down. And let's hear what the latest was out of the locker rooms with Bonnie.
Well, Jim, the Steelers only got about 20 plays on offense, so it was kind of hard for Bill Cowher to get an assessment on Charlie Batch. He wants the offense to get into a little more of a rhythm in the second half. As for the defense, overall, happy with the way the defense was playing, causing the turnovers. Cowher said, though, we gave up a couple third down plays on that last drive, but Jim and Phil, you mentioned it. Everybody knows what Brett Favre can do in the second half, particularly the fourth quarter. Cowher said, we're not worried about the Packers' run. We just have to make sure Brett Favre doesn't make big plays.
They have had a surprising boost with Sam Gatto now 52 yards. What a grab by Henderson. And he moves it into Pittsburgh territory at the 48. Larry Foote brought him down. Gain of 6.
Well, Jim, a couple things when I watch this game, what I'm thinking of. First off, what a catch is right. You need to make the little plays because the Steelers defense is proven. They'll let you drive down the field, but can you make the one play to get in the end zone? Green Bay's offense, can you put pressure? Can you score? Put pressure on the Steelers and make Charlie Batch throw the football where you might have a chance.
Second down and 4, stuffed at the line. Sam Gatto backed up, running into Casey Hampton on the nose and a support crew.
Because I can tell you, if the score remains 13-3, Bill Cowher might want his offense to get in rhythm. I don't know if he'll give it a chance. He'll just keep playing the game. He'll manage it as a coach, not put it in the hands of the quarterback, take no chances, and make the Green Bay Packers show you first that they can score some points.
Brought in Walt Williams on the third down play. Signed just October the 25th. And they've had a number of procedure and false starts.
Number 29, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
Called on Williams. Well, tomorrow, Miami Heat meets New York Streets when two CSIs unite try to catch a serial killer. Manhunt begins Monday on CSI Miami and leads to Wednesday's CSI New York. Right here on the #1 network in the country. It's the third false start call against Green Bay, so it's a 3rd and 10. Chapman came up big in a couple of these situations late in the second quarter.
Steelers fake the blitz. Good job.
A lot of time. It's Williams. A lot of room. First down and all the way down to the 35. Antonio Chapman threw a block. And it gains 19.
Well, what a play by Brett Favre. Watch Brett Favre, number 4. The fake blitz. He is ready to rip it down the field. And then at the last second just slings it out to the outside. And Williams, zone defense by the Steelers. They're a pressure defense. They like to come after you. And when they don't, I think they're just okay. And that play illustrated Brett Favre, 3rd down passing, 5 for 7 for 5 first downs today.
All of his completions for first on 3rd down, but that one on first down skids past Lee. Well, college football next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern Time. LSU and Alabama, a big SEC West showdown, and we'll have it for you. How will Jamarcus Russell and the Bayou Bengals fare against Brody Croyle and the Bama Crimson Tide? You'll see it next Saturday at 3:30 here on CBS.
First 1 to 6 to win the game.
Might be about right.
6 points. How that's
2nd down and 10, and just nothing there at all.
Brett Keisel on the sack there. It's so hard to go outside. Even Mike Sherman talking about this Steelers defense. When you go outside, they like to pressure. They're all movement. It's linebackers, the safeties. So when you go outside, they got all those people running right at you. That's why it's hard to run it.
Dick LeBeau, defensive coordinator for the Steelers. And he's always said about blitzing being successful. The most important aspect of it all is surprise. Flags are down as far goes all the way to the end zone to Thurman and went through his hands. A flag down, a couple of them. But we've got one at the line and one at the goal line. There's Andre Thurman of the Packers leaping into the air. There's contact with Ike Taylor.
Well, the big question is it offsetting penalties?
Just to be sure that they saw the first one, we'll throw 2 more in there.
There were fouls by both teams on the play. Illegal shift by the offense. 2 players were moving at the same time. Pass interference, defense number 24. The penalty's offset. Replay 3rd down.
Second time the Green Bay Packers have had an illegal shift. And it's probably not that uncommon, the fact they got so many new guys. Oh, there it was up top, and then the guy in motion. They must reset for at least 1 second for it not to be called an illegal shift. That is a huge penalty by the Green Bay Packers.
Well, it takes away the chance for what would have been the critical foul call, the interference. There's Chapman slashing across the field for the first down. Picked it up on 3rd and 10. Gains 13.
Well, that's a nice throw by Brett Favre. On the outside, Antonio Chapman comes underneath the inside receiver, so that makes it really tough for a corner to come running with him. Bubba Franks goes up the field, and it just gives the defense too hard of a time to chase him. That time, Tyrone Carter, he couldn't fight through the receiver and a defender to get to Antonio Chapman.
The first down, 21-yard line. Over to Driver. Driver brought down at the 4. First and goal to go for Green Bay.
Another terrific throw by Brett Favre. They talk about windows in the NFL. The first spot where you want to throw the football, it's not there. He waits, gets off balance, and throws it in the second window when he clears the linebackers and he's in front of the safeties. And a nice catch by Donald Driver, because inside you know you're going to get hit.
There's a look at this. James Ferrier with his leg wrap. He went out earlier in this series, and they're attacking the middle of the field with him out. Sam Gatto. To pick up a tough yard. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 3.
That's a big yard too, Jim. If you lose 1 or 2 and you get it back to the 5 or 6, then the defense can just play pass all the way. Now it at least keeps running past both, and it makes the defense play honest.
Boy, the red zone today, 2 trips, no points. In fact, not only no points for their side, they surrendered points to the other side on the fumble return. Juxtapose that to 41 straight scoring times in the red zone for Pittsburgh. Gatto. Look at the pile being pushed. That drives them all the way down to the 1. Kevin Barry and Vontae Leach came up from behind to help pick up maybe an additional 3 yards.
I know this. Gatto is running hard, and he is going to be sore tomorrow. But again, and what hustle. That's illegal. What the Green Bay Packers are doing there, you cannot aid the runner, but you can go in there and act like you're trying to block somebody off of him. That's what they did.
Notre Dame fans might be familiar with that.
That's right.
We're hearing Ferrier with a leg injury, doubtful to return today.
Inside the 1.
3rd and goal. It's Gatto, left side, touchdown, Green Bay. That's first NFL touchdown for Sam Gatto. And he gets the football back. One of his teammates knocked it out of his hand. So wait a minute, that is a keepsake.
First off, that was some drive by the Green Bay Packers. They overcame penalties. It's inside the 1-yard line. You expect to run right up the middle. That's where the defense was. Gatto sees it open outside and takes it there.
Gets the extra point. That was a 7.5-minute drive to open up the 3rd quarter. This time they make use of the long series. Cut it to 3. 12-play drive. And when was the last time we saw the Steelers really try to run a play? They had that kneel down, 1 kneel down at the end of the half. Quincy Morgan sandwiched at the 26. Think about it. Green Bay's had it 17 minutes, really essentially straight, other than the kneel down, going back to the first half.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 40. IBM, become an on-demand business. IBM can help. And by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge.
Steelers mid-third, first snap of the 2nd half. Willie Parker dropped for a 2-yard loss.
Well, you see what the Packers have done the last 2 drives. 17 minutes and 4 seconds of the possible last 17:31. But, Jim, we went back. They punted the ball. It's been almost 1 hour since the offense has run a meaningful play.
Yeah, 55 minutes. We're going to exclude the kneel down, and we have our first steaming head shot of the year. As Batch goes for a second option, and it's knocked away. He was trying to hit Parker. Robert Thomas and Nick Barnett. 3rd and 12 coming up.
That's good defense by the Packers. They know the Steelers want to come out and just get a first down. So they're going to play conservative, and look at Nick Barnett. Sticks right to the running back, not going to let the quarterback get that little easy check down throw and put him in a tough 3rd down situation.
Love the left side with 3 receivers. 3rd and 12. Biamila, he gets away. Batch spins away and running to the first, comes up short. Baja Biamila had him for the sack. Batch able to somehow spin away, but then Hawkins finished him off along with Campman.
Well, the Steelers so worried about the pass rush. The Packers catch them off guard, or catch the Steelers off guard. They only rush 3 guys. And that's why they stopped Charlie Batch short of the first down, because they had everybody back playing pass.
The scramble by Batch, the 2nd longest run of the day for the Steelers. Only thing better, the Randall L. end around for 43 that opened the game. Gardaki. It's Chapman. Chapman with a wedge. Oh, he lost his footing. Stumbles to the 32. Brett Favre coming out. He's engineered 2 long drives. The last one went for 6. Here's the lineup tonight on CBS 60 Minutes, and Steve Kroft with Tom Brady tonight. Cold case and Category 7, the end of the world. Defense for the Packers coming up big. 3 and out for the Steelers. Giving it back to Favre. Hands it off to Gatto for a yard. Krewalt, who has sub now for James Ferrier, makes the tackle. The headlines off the NFL today. Bill Cowher in his interview with Bonnie talking about how Hines Ward deserves to be in the same group as Lynn Swann and John Stallworth. He needed 4 catches today to become the all-time receiver. He has not caught one so far. How about Marino's line on Terrell Owens? Get some super glue and shut this guy's mouth. And Boomer said, I wouldn't want to play on his team.
T.O. wouldn't talk on Boomer's team because Boomer did it all.
2nd down, and Favre shakes free. Tough pass. And over the head of Franks. Diving at the knees of Deshae Townsend. Here's the NFL.com poll. What's the best combination of all time? Kelly to Reed, Peyton to Marvin, Marino and Clayton, Montana Rice, or Young Rice? Cast your vote at NFL.com.
9 from the 33.
Or write in Sims Bavaro.
Oh, yeah.
Converted 7 of the last 8 on 3rd down. And they got a 3rd and 9. Oh, that pass could have been picked. Deshae Townsend and Donald Driver helped make a defensive play to prevent the pick.
That's what you want your receiver to do. Donald Driver on the inside going against Deshae Townsend, and this is well done by Deshae Townsend. And you know why he was all over it? Because he knew he had somebody deep, and he was playing the out route. That's the 3rd time Donald Driver has run that exact route. That time, Deshae Townsend covered it.
Brings in B.J. Sander. And he dives to the 28, 49 yards on the punt, 10-yard return. Mapenga on the hit.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Citi Simplicity Credit Card, the card that treats you right. And by FedEx. For more football fun, go to FedExFootball.com.
Wednesday on CBS is the most gripping episode yet of the new hit suspense thriller Criminal Minds. Mandy Patinkin stars. It's Wednesday on CBS America's most watched network. Willie Parker is being escorted to the locker room after getting a little treatment on the bench. It brings Deuce Staley as the running back. Batch tosses it outside for a short gain to Kreider.
Well, Jim, if you want to be somebody that runs down, they call him the gunner on the outside. That's Jason Horton. Watch him, gets pushed out of bounds.
Where is he? Where is he? 1003, 1004.
There he comes, I tell you. What a job. You know, when you get pushed out like that, you got to come back in as fast as you can, or that would be a penalty if you made a tackle.
First play, 43 yards of the day, 65 yards on 23 snaps afterwards. It's Staley. Staley has the first down. That's the first down for the Steelers in a total of 23 minutes on the clock. So they're saying now, here's the report from the Steelers sideline, Willie Parker, an ankle, and it is at this point doubtful he'll return. Again, Bettis is out with a knee, and we've got Corey Williams down on the field for the Packers. So as they attend to Corey Williams, we'll take a break at Lambeau. First and 10 for the Steelers from the 39. Staley runs into traffic, including Colin Cole and Cullen Jenkins. You think of Staley and what he did the first 7 weeks of last season when he came over from the Eagles.
Well, he was off, Jim. We did their first game, and we were down there when they played the Oakland Raiders. He was off to a terrific start. Then he got hurt, and Jerome Bettis came in, played really well, and it's injuries. Had a hard time getting back in there, but now he is going to be the main runner for the rest of this game for the Steelers.
He was hobbled with a hammy the second half of the season. Pass complete for the first time today. Hines Ward for a gain of 12.
Yeah, it's a big drive by the Steelers. The defense stepped up, stopped the Green Bay Packers last time. Hines Ward's in the middle or in the inside, lines up actually like a tight end. And they clear it out by both receivers, and that leaves a big space for him to catch the football in.
So Hines Ward, 2 away from tying Stallworth as the all-time receiver, 3 to have the record alone. And Batch completes another one. This time it's Randall L. and up Deuce Staley. Beg your pardon.
Deuce Staley, I'm not sure who Charlie Batch was throwing that football to, but I know Hines Ward was wide open behind him.
I think Hines thought he was still going to be able to catch that one.
Yeah, I saw Deuce Staley look at him and like, oh, I'm sorry, I might have taken that from you. Good play-action fake, and Hines Ward turned a defensive secondary, the Packers, around and was wide open to the outside.
We saw that injury before the break, Corey Williams, a calf injury, and doubtful to return for the Green Bay defensive line. Staley easily with the first. Shaken free and ridden down by Al Harris. Broke away from Nick Barnett.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jim. It looks like the beginning of the game again for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mixing it up, a little play-action pass, and then off the edges. That's where they want to run, because the defensive ends for the Packers, a little undersized. They like the matches to the outside, and they make it work. Heath Miller, good job. Oh, what a block. Just takes his man right to the ground, and he makes small Al Harris tackle a big running back.
Pittsburgh moving it and giving that defense a chance for a rest at long last. Is down Staley, backing in for a yard. Tomorrow is Mega Monday here on the Eye, the King of Queens. And then Cameron Manheim, guest on How I Met Your Mother. Charlie's real-life dad, Martin Sheen, shows up on 2.5 Men, Out of Practice, and CSI Miami, plus an all-new Dave here on America's #1 network.
There's Jim Bates, defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. I think he's done a terrific job up here so far this year. They were not expected to be very good at all, and they've played quite steady all year long.
How will they defend on 2nd and 9? It's an incomplete pass. With 19 seconds to go in the quarter.
You know, the Steelers are one of the few teams. They do it a lot with Ben Roethlisberger. They've done it with every quarterback. Bill Cowher believes in throwing the football to the sidelines. And that time, Charlie Batch is just a little indecisive and not real sure, so he's not throwing the ball with conviction. Again, the receiver to the outside was open.
Had Veron Haynes open. I saw that. 0 for 4 on the game on third down. With 4 receivers in, including Quincy Morgan. 3rd and 9, and a botch snap gives the Packers time to swamp the quarterback. Kenny Peterson falls on him.
And probably takes him out of field goal range. The wind has died down considerably since the beginning of the game. This would be about a 50-yarder. Charlie Batch, again, having trouble with the shotgun snap.
Well, what will they do? We'll find out on the first snap of the fourth quarter. We're through 3, and you're watching the NFL on CBS. We are going to have a field goal try outside of 50 by Jeff Reed of the Steelers to start the fourth quarter. Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, Bonnie Bernstein. Actually, they'll call it officially 51 yards, which would equal his career long. If there's any breeze, it's helping. Reed blocked. Well, you think how big that last play of the third quarter was. Phil, you pointed it out. Would have been talking like a 42-yard try had it just been an incomplete pass on third down. Packers get a hand on it. Cullen Jenkins. Packers get to take over from the point of the miss, the 41. Down by 3. And that's Gatto for about 3 yards. What did you see on the blocked field goal?
Well, Jim, the fact that it was 8 yards long, or just watch how Jeff Reed goes into the football. He goes in a little lower, and he's going to drive it. He knows he has to because it's 40-some degrees. You're in Green Bay, and then it allows Cullen Jenkins, because he's driving the football a little bit lower, it allows him to come in and block that kick. That's called managing the game. As a quarterback, you got to know you're in field goal range and you can't take a sack.
2nd down and 6. And that falls through the hands of Donald Lee. Next Sunday on CBS is a regional day of action. And the primary game on our lineup will be New England out at Miami. Some will get their game late. Denver at Oakland. How will the Raiders come back after that crushing loss on the last play of the game today at Kansas City, or the Jets at Carolina? It all starts with the NFL Today next Sunday at 12 noon Eastern time. Walt Williams in the backfield, 3rd and 6. And here's another snap, gets away, and fallen on by the Packers. Tauscher able to recover it. Flanagan snapped it back, and that's the same thing that really did end Charlie Batch on that last play, a poor snap.
Well, you saw what happened. Mike Flanagan had the block to his right. He was worried about it, and he made a quick move, and he threw the football way to the right of Brett Favre.
Lucky to recover it, the Packers. Sandra with the kick to Randall L. Finds room in the middle of the field, and Lee cuts off the angle right at the 50. 45-yard punt, 24-yard return, and of course the flag on the special teams.
Steeler defense coming up big the last 2 series. Packers have had a chance to kind of keep the momentum going or get ahead.
During the kick, holding by the receiving team, number 33. That 10-yard penalty is enforced from the end of the kick. Pittsburgh keeps the ball, 1st down.
Called on Russell Stuvance, just returning to the Steelers this week.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Sprint Business. Sprint Business. Yes, you can. And by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world.
That penalty on the Steelers on the return cost them 34 yards. Sets them back at the 16. Leading by a field goal. They fake the reverse and they stay with Staley out to the 21. Again tonight, the CBS movie event. Not a Category 5, not a Category 6. Yes, the very rare Category 7. In fact, it's the end of the world. And it's tonight at 9 o'clock. Here on America's Most Watched Network. 2nd down and 5. Staley looking for anything, creates it. That was very patient on the veteran's part to look for any kind of opening, and he gets the first down.
That's a good way to describe it, Jim. He is very patient. He waits and waits. There's nothing there, and then a nice little cutback. And what surprises me, the Green Bay Packers, you kind of got to know what the Steelers offense, what it's doing. It's being conservative. Crowd the line of scrimmage more and make them throw the ball down the field to get something going.
First down from the 30. It's Haynes getting the carry. And Verron Haynes picks up 3 yards. Steelers trying to motor on to an 11th straight road win, trying to keep pace with the Bengals, who won today at Baltimore, to improve to 7-2. Of course, they've already beaten the Bengals in a rather decisive performance at Cincinnati, but the Bengals have yet to have a bye, so they had that half-game lead coming in on Pittsburgh. Haynes stays in the backfield on 2nd and 7. Able to get away and scrambles for the first. Charlie Batch with a history here at Lambeau Field. The very first game of his career when he was a rookie out of Eastern Michigan. He did not play, but he was suited up as the backup to Scott Mitchell in the opening game of the '98 season. Had a couple of other starts, however, here. Never did have a win as a Detroit quarterback at Lambeau.
Well, the Packer defense playing man-to-man, so when Charlie Batch moves up in the pocket to run, there's nobody looking at him. That's why he was able to pick up a first down.
Staley has returned. And another first down play. Batch airing it out long and over the head of Randall L., who can't believe he doesn't get the call. He thought Carroll had made contact.
I could not tell, but I'm going to guess he did, because it looks like Randall L., number 82, going across the field. It looks like he's got him beat. He did. Ahmad Carroll did put his hands on Randall L., but I don't know if it really affected it enough to throw a flag on it. See the hand touching? You're allowed to, you can put your hand on the receiver. You just can't move him or turn him.
2nd down and 10. One of the few times have gone down the field today. This time they will go with the reverse. And Randall L. unable to fool him this time. Aaron Campman kept his ground, stayed on his side, and it results in a 2-yard loss.
Boy, that's being disciplined right there. Don't chase the football. And that's what Aaron Campman, you said it, Jim, 74. Look at him come down the line. Oh, my gosh. Hines Ward just levels Donald Driver.
Randall L. wanted a face mask call, made another appeal, and again, no flag. I did see a hand in there ever so briefly, but definitely in there.
I said Donald Driver. I meant Mark Roman. Donald Driver's not playing defense.
3rd and 12. Dancing around, trying to find anything open. And now 0 for 6 in the game on 3rd down. Barnett and Campman put the final pressure on Batch.
Well, Charlie Batch, terrific protection by his offensive line. Now, where are you going to throw the football? Well, that's the one guy that comes open over the middle. Hines Ward, wide open. The other side, nobody. Good coverage by the Packers. Hines Ward open over the middle. Charlie Batch can't find him.
Chapman, the deep back. Collins, the up back. On the return for Green Bay, it's Chapman with a little juke. And now a turnaround move. And a flag thrown. Several flags. Thurman tries to say, wait a minute, did I touch him?
Yeah, he touched him. And that's all it was.
And that's going to bring it back, if it is, against Andre Thurman, all the way back to the 10-yard line, half the distance.
You know, it must be cold today. Colder than we think. Ed Hockley's wearing long sleeves.
You seldom see
During
that.
the return, illegal block in the back, receiving team number 81. 10-yard penalty enforced from the end of the run. Green Bay keeps the ball, first down.
A lost chance to see those massive biceps.
I hear you.
Another close one for the Steelers and Packers.
If you got
We're back, and what a statistical oddity this is. With a 1-6 record, they've outscored their opponents on the season by 19.
losing all the close ones, when they do win, they blew out the New Orleans Saints.
Third time they've had it now, trailing by 3. They've had 2 straight 3-and-outs. The driver means 6. Tomorrow on CBS, we're going to get the CSI crews working together on a little project, try to find a serial killer. The manhunt begins on Monday, CSI Miami, and leads to Wednesday, CSI New York, right here on CBS, America's most watched network. Well, Willie Parker's come back in from the locker room. They went in to check the ankle. We were told it's doubtful he'll return. Gatto knocked back for a 2-yard loss. Let's go down to Bonnie.
You know, Jim, it's been hilarious watching rookie Samson Gatto in the aftermath of his first touchdown. You saw how he wouldn't leave the field without hanging on to that football. Then he goes over to every single offensive lineman, Mike Flanagan, Mark Tauscher, shakes their hands and says, thanks, man, thanks for giving me a chance. How often do you get to see that?
Well, Phil talked about how polite he was yesterday when we met with him, wearing that number 35 after his hero, Christian Okoye. 3rd and 5. They've not picked up a first their last 2 series. And this one's intercepted. Tipped and picked off. Tyrone Carter has it for the Steelers. Bounced off the hands of Donald Driver.
Yeah, Brett Favre can't believe it because it looks like he throws it perfectly. He throws it right on target and with just around the right amount of speed. Donald Driver, it looks like maybe he didn't see it to the last second. And when that football goes up in the air in the middle of the field, there is going to be a defender there to get it. And Brett Favre knows what a big mistake it is, how much it hurts the football team.
Sets up the Steelers at the 20. With just outside of 8 minutes to go. Staley. Here's the running back, Kreider the fullback. Batch swings it over to the fullback. And Kreider butts heads at the 10. And into Nick Barnett. We do have a flag.
What Brett Favre did in the first half and the second half.
And Favre without a touchdown pass here today. His last 27 home games, including playoffs, he has at least 1 touchdown pass. Nothing so far. Nick Barnett slow to get up. Top tackler for the Packers ever since he was drafted out of Oregon State a couple of years back. Trying to become the first Green Bay player to ever lead the team his first 3 years in tackles.
Ed Hockley trying to tell Bill Cowher it must be a 5-yard penalty, automatic first down, or do you want 2nd and 1 foot?
Holding defense number 28 before the pass. That penalty is declined. The play results in a 2nd down.
Well, we'd rather have the 2nd and 1. We talked about Cincinnati and the Bengals winning earlier today, 7-2, and there are the Steelers trying to basically keep pace with them, stay even in the loss column, and they do already have the first of 2 matchups against the Bengals in the can. They'll meet again later this month. Barnett had the wind knocked out of him, we're told. 2nd and 1. Staley. Deuce has the first. You look at the Steelers' schedule. That game actually with Cincinnati will be the first weekend of December. They'll host the Bengals, having already defeated them 27-13. Willie Parker had a monster game in that one. Cleveland next week. Will it be Batch or Roethlisberger? That might be decided by the outcome of this one. It had a lot to do with it. 1st and goal to go. And the toss at Staley. Corner. And that's a big 6-yard gain. Right behind Max Starks.
Yeah, Max Starks and Heath Miller. Heath Miller, the rookie, has had such a good year catching the football. Bill Cowher says he is equally impressive blocking. 83 out front, 78 out front. Anytime you run the football well to the outside in the NFL, it usually means you got a good blocking tight end.
Nick Barnett was out one play, and he now returns at linebacker for the Packers. 2nd and goal. Staley shakes it off, and Deuce comes up aces. That is the first rushing touchdown the Packers have allowed here at home this year.
This is just good running by Deuce Staley. Barnett sees him, gets over, reacts to it, just cannot bring him down. Staley fresh, getting his first action, big and strong. Scores a big touchdown for the Steelers.
Coming up big, getting a lot more action than he ever thought he would today, with Parker hobbled with an ankle. Shaking off Barnett, who had set out one play with having the wind knocked out of him. Unable to hold on to the rugged Staley, who rumbles at home to put him up by 10.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Paramount Pictures' Get Rich or Die Trying. Starts Wednesday, November 9th in theaters only, rated R. And by TGI Fridays Restaurants Jack Grill. Everyone could use more Fridays.
Deuce Staley, he was active for the New England game, game 3, and saw action on a couple of plays, but never a handle. And one thing, and we talked to Bill Cowher about this last night, what a teammate he has been. As we sat and watched this whole Terrell Owens debacle, how Deuce Staley really could have probably been active in a number of games this year as they fake the reverse. Richard Lee on the return after the 28. He had stood on the sidelines and cheered, or second-year player, if you will, Willie Parker's every move. And today it's his turn, and he has stepped up. Again, here's the lineup tonight on CBS. Really looking forward to that Tom Brady interview tonight on 60 Minutes with Steve Kroft, who I had a chance to visit with this week. And Steve, through the years, and many years at that, has had a lot of sports interviews. Says this one might be the best one of all. Tom Brady will get a behind-the-scenes look. The star quarterback of the Patriots. This cold case in Category 7 tonight. Franks almost let that one get away, but on the bobble able to hold on. Free wall on the tackle. So that's the first time they picked up a first down after 2 3-and-outs and the pick. And the crowd trying to encourage this team. Hey, guys, let's move it.
They want to hurry up offense. 5:45 to go. You need 2 scores to tie it up. You're down 10. You do have a sense of urgency. You got to move it quick.
Big play action fake. Pass, driver. What a catch this time. Boy, he had one that bounced off his hands and led to the interception and led to the 7. What a tough grab this time.
I love it when the Packers run play-action passes and they get Brett Favre really far behind the line of scrimmage. It allows him to throw the football down the field, and he shows off that terrific arm. Remember, the Packers, a lot of injuries to the wide receiving core and running backs. Hard for them to do this hurry-up offense.
Pass low, caught by Lee. By that you mean so many different people in the mix that it's just not necessarily going to be in sync if you do it.
Yeah, it's too tough. All week they spent incredible amounts of time just standing around and going through walkthroughs. Okay, if they do this, you block this guy, because they got to protect their quarterback. And you're playing a defense that likes to blitz. So it's a difficult assignment for players stepping in.
It's Gatto trying to get outside. And he might be feeling a little fatigued now. I mean, he has carried the ball today. Talking about Samcon, 26 times. He had one career carry before today.
Boy, that is a lot. I did not realize he'd carried that many times. But there's no question. I would think they're in 4-down territory. You could kick a field goal. It'd be a 48-yarder into a slight breeze.
Walt Williams comes into the backfield from the shotgun, 3rd and 4. No one picked up the blitz and was almost intercepted. Larry Foote coming in untouched, and Ike Taylor dove for it.
Mike Sherman's going over and talking. And that's what I tell you what he did. He walked over to his kicker, Ryan Longwell, and said, "What do you think?" And he was truthful, saying no. Before the game, I watched him kick many footballs this way. He kicked a few from 45, but most of them turned up short.
So they're going to go for it instead of a 48-yard drive into a breeze. They pick up the blitz this time. Favre could have run for it, goes to the end zone instead, and it's incomplete.
Absolutely, he could have run for it easily, Jim. But Brett Favre has just got a mentality where he is going to look down the field to make the play. Watch as he drops back. Nobody's open at first. As he steps up, oh, yes, he could have taken off to his right and got there for a first down without even taking a hit.
Well, he went with the Bubba Franks option, and McFadden was down defending. And the Steelers take over on downs with 3:39 remaining. It's Staley. And all he wants to do is stay in bounds, no gain. Timeout called by Green Bay with 3:33 to play. Next Sunday on CBS, New England at Miami for many of you, plus Kansas City, Buffalo, other regional action. And it all starts at 12 noon with our guys back in Studio 43. Greg and Dan and Shannon and Boomer will be mixing it up next Sunday at 12 noon. We invite you to be with us next weekend for more action. Week 10 of the NFL season. Here's Staley. It'll set up a 3rd down as the Packers make quick use of that second timeout. So we're back for the final 3:28. And the Steelers led today at quarterback by Charlie Batch with the 20-10 lead and managing the game. That's something we heard quite often.
Yeah, and Jim, he did a pretty good job of that. He did have one bad interception, took a sack, but look, he's the backup quarterback. He's had no work. He hasn't played in a long time, so overall it's been a solid day for Charlie Batch.
Ron Haynes and weaving around for no gain, so the Packers will get it back. That's what Cowher said, Bill Cowher said about Charlie Batch. Is one thing I always liked about him. Looking back at his days at Detroit, he can always manage a game, and they've had to go not only with the backup quarterback, but Deuce Staley coming in as the backup running back today, getting almost all the work.
Yeah, but
not, you don't call him a backup.
Yeah, call him a backup. Yeah.
But he had not had a carry. You think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
In what, 10 months?
Yep.
Almost 11 months.
But he's done a lot. He's motivated. He's healthy. And Jim, I could see the contentment on his face after he scored that touchdown and went to the bench. You talked about how he's handled it, and his time has come, and like you said, he delivered.
So Gardocki to boot it. Step kicker with a line drive. Returnable. They fake the reverse, and Chapman is free. Chapman to the 40, and Gardocki bumps him out, and the Packers have life.
What a job by the Packers. It's a low kick by Gardocki, and they fake the reverse. And it makes the defense hesitate just enough to give Antonio Chapman a chance to get down the field. And you saw the block by big number 90, Cole, just peeling back and taking a Steeler down.
Yes, he did. Colin Cole laying someone out. Chapman. Kid has a lot of game. 4 catches as well for 43 yards. Tough pass, but held on to by Driver. Bouncing with Townsend. And inside of 3 minutes, now they're hurrying up. Walt Williams is the running back who will be asked to pick up blitzes for Favre. Nope, they're going to try to hit him with the little pass, but Von Oelhoffen batted it away.
That's why I like yesterday Brett Favre talked about being in the shotgun. If he was in the shotgun that time, he could have caught the football. It moved just a little to have a clean throwing lane. But the fact that he was underneath the center made it tougher, harder to move, harder to see those short routes, and it gets knocked down.
Kind of surprising. You look at his career, how long it took before he really saw shotgun.
Yeah.
We talked to him about that on Friday. Not really until Coach Sherman took over here.
Right. Mike Homer doesn't believe in it.
They're down.
Said he likes it.
It's a blitz. Pass away and just wide of Driver. That was Deshae Townsend coming from the outside.
Well, you know how they handle the blitz. They just tell the quarterback it's going to come from the outside, unblocked, and Brett Favre does it very well. Just stay relaxed, lean backwards, and try to throw it soft, and hope your receiver can run to the football. Instead of receivers changing routes because they see the blitz, the Packers put all the pressure on the quarterback to find the first receiver to get rid of the football.
Well, this is basically it. 4th down and 6. Now he's back in the gun.
Look at that blitz coming all from his right side.
Pass away. It's too low for Thurman. And there are no flags. Pittsburgh rises again on defense.
That's what they do. Pittsburgh, it's when they blitz, they just bring a lot of people in one spot, and it makes it tough for everybody to figure out who you're going to block. Look at all the rushers. Brett Favre knows there's pressure. It makes him get rid of the football just a half a second before he wants to, and that's why the throw comes up short. You know, you look at this game, the Steeler defense again.
With it 7 o'clock back in the East for those expecting to see 60 minutes. You're watching the NFL on CBS. The Steelers and the Packers. Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, and Bonnie Bernstein. With the Steelers in front 20-10. And the running play, Deuce Staley. Little stiff arm and more. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast. An interview with the first man on the moon, Neil Armstrong, and as well an interview with a player many consider to be the #1 quarterback in the NFL, Tom Brady. That's coming up on 60 Minutes. We've reached a 2-minute warning at Lambeau Field. Green Bay cannot stop the clock. You see Deuce Staley on the bench. Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, and Bonnie Bernstein. Coach Cowher went over to Deuce during that timeout a couple of times. Gave his guy a big pat.
Well, Cowher likes to show his emotion to players, and Jimmy should. Deuce stepped up big time today, and what a luxury to have. Really, they have 3 running backs that are quality starters in the NFL. And it's about being ready. When your time comes around, you've got to be ready to get it done. And Deuce Staley has done it so many times in the past.
Well, the points off turnovers, and the one big one, the Polamalu recovery and 77-yard run back for the touchdown.
Well, that in the past that went off Donald Driver, where Brett Favre threw it right to him, intercepted. That led to a Deuce Staley touchdown, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Good teams. They have more than one way to win. They do it with their running game, their passing game sometimes with Ben Roethlisberger. Today they did it with their defense and a running back who was ready to go when his time came.
You see Polamalu in the victory formation back there, standing guard, and the executive producers of the NFL on CBS, Sean McManus and Tony Petitti. Coordinating producer of the NFL on CBS and today's game, produced by Lance Barrow and directed by Mike Arnold. Associate directors of today's game, Steve Karasek and Pete Radovich Jr. Broadcast associates Andy Friedman, Steve Murphy. Technical manager Pete Calander. Technical director Jonas Einstein, and our audio supervisor Ed Soltis. Ethan Cooperson with the stats, along with Joe Castellano and Tommy Spencer up here helping out efforts as always in the booth. And of course, back in the NFL Today studio, our senior producer Eric Mann, director Bob Mattina, and coordinating producer of CBS Sports Harold Bryant. Thanks to all the men and women of CBS Sports, as the Packers now fall to 1-7, while the Steelers rise to 6-2, and will host Cleveland next week. Quite a day for Pittsburgh, for this team.
Good job, man. Keep it up, all right?
No Bus, no Ben, no Parker the second half. No problem. Another victory for one of the toughest teams in football. 60 Minutes coming up. Tom Brady, behind the scenes, cold case in Category 7. For Phil and Bonnie, Jim Nance. Thanks for being with us from Lambeau Field, where the Steelers have won it.